Nearly everyone organizes life around two activities. The first is solving problems. Bills, work, health, the car, the roof, the children. The second is distracting themselves from problems. Scrolling, streaming, drinking, shopping, watching TV, arguing with strangers online. Solve, distract. Solve, distract. For a great many people, that is the whole day. It's been the whole day for 30 years. Now consider what's coming. The good news, briefly. The AI revolution is already beginning to dissolve a great many of those problems. Not all of them, many of them. Consider education. The best way to learn has always been the Socratic method. One master mentoring one student. That's always been too expensive for nearly everyone. So we built something else instead. One adult with a limited grasp of a subject attempting to load it into 30 children simultaneously. A tutor that has read every important book ever written on a subject now costs less than lunch. Teaching will not disappear. It will change beyond recognition. Consider healthcare. We don't have a healthcare system. We have a repair system, one that fixes dis-ease after it appears. Physicians and surgeons are barely trained in prevention at all. Meanwhile, individual expert guidance on how to eat, move, sleep, and reduce stress is now available to almost everyone for a small monthly fee. Billions of people who never had access to a physician now have access to excellent medical advice. Consider housing. Robots already manufacture solar panels. Soon they will install them. Then they will build housing units in factories and deliver them to land that is presently too remote to build on. Energy costs fall, construction costs fall, more land becomes viable. Every economy in human history has been organized around scarcity. That arrangement is ending. This may well be the last economic revolution because the shift is from scarcity to abundance. That's the good news, and I think it's real. Here's what almost nobody is discussing. Solving your problems has never made anyone happy. We've run this experiment for centuries. The results are in, and they're not ambiguous. Lottery winners, retirees who finally get the freedom they spent 40 years earning, wealthy people who obtained everything they ever wanted. Look at how actually they live their lives once the wanting stops. The dissatisfaction does not leave, it changes address. Why? Scarcity was never only a burden. It was also an answer. The grind told you what to do with your day. It told you what you were for. It supplied a purpose without ever requiring you to choose one. Remove the grind and the question returns, naked and unanswered. What is worth living for? Most people have no good answer. They've never needed one. The problems answered it for them. Here's my prediction. When abundance arrives, the distraction industry will not shrink, it will grow enormously. What happens when the problems stop is a person alone with his own mind and with whatever quiet unease that person has been living with in his body for decades. Abundance is not a gift, it's a test. It removes the last respectable excuse for not doing the inner work. The part that concerns you specifically, if you're still with me, you're probably good at thinking. You solve problems for a living or for pleasure. Your intelligence has been your best asset your entire life. It earned your work, your standing, and a good deal of the sense of who you are. That's precisely the exposure. Two things are happening at once. The market value of general problem solving is collapsing, not to zero, but toward zero. The one problem that would actually improve your life is not solvable by thinking. Consider the second because it's the one intelligent people step over. You already understand your own emotions better than most people do. You can explain your anxiety. You can trace it to its origin. You can name the distortion, cite the mechanism, and describe the childhood that produced it. Has the explanation dissolved it? That gap between understanding an emotion and being free of it is where intelligent people have lived for decades. Understanding is not dissolution. You know this already. You've known it for years, and knowing it has not helped, which is itself the demonstration. Here's a test that takes 20 minutes. Sit somewhere, quiet, alone, in the dark. No telephone, no book, no music, no task, no plan. Do not meditate, since meditating is a technique and techniques are a form of doing. Do nothing. Simply sit still and do nothing at all for 20 minutes. Notice what happens. For most people, the mind will not stop. It produces commentary, plans, replays, judgments, and complaints, one after another, without interruption and without permission. 20 minutes becomes intolerable. The reach for the telephone is nearly automatic. Then ask the question that matters. If your thinking will not stop when you tell it to stop, in what sense is it yours? Who is running home? That is the actual situation, and it has nothing to do with AI. Abundance simply removes the noise that has been covering it up. Here's a confession. I'm not describing something I just read about. I decided at 18 to become a philosopher, and I've never regretted it. I studied for years under Panayote Butchfarov, in my judgment, the finest philosophical mind of his generation. I earned a doctorate. I taught philosophy for 32 years. I was a member of Mensa. I've written 35 books. I believed I could think my way to wisdom. In 1994, after 14 years of marriage, my wife left. I fell flat on my nose emotionally. Every conceptual tool I had spent 25 years sharpening was useless. Not partly useless, useless. I could analyze my situation with real precision, and the analysis changed nothing whatever. That was the most valuable failure of my life, because it was specific. It did not show that thinking is worthless. It showed exactly what thinking cannot do. Ending conceptual confusion is a prelude to transcending conceptual thought. It's not a substitute for it. Rigor is not the enemy here. Rigor is the doorway. Most people never reach the doorway at all. Intelligent people reach it, then furnish it and live there. There are two kinds of excellence. There are two ways to live well, and confusing them wastes lives. Success is excellence in becoming, the domain of doing, building, earning, solving, achieving, recovering, gaining. It matters. It's also temporary because everything in becoming is in flux. AI is about to make this kind of excellence cheap. Fulfillment is excellence in being, the domain of what remains when the doing stops. Living without compulsive thinking, without prolonged fear, without chronic dissatisfaction. No machine can do this one for you. Nothing can do it for you. The two are not enemies. You need a floor of success to have the freedom to pursue fulfillment. What abundance does is remove the excuse for stopping at the first. The measurement. Here's the part that should interest you most if you're analytical. Excellence in being is not vague, and it is not a matter of self-report. It's measurable. Dr. David R. Hawkins, a psychiatrist and philosopher, developed a scale of human consciousness running from 1 to 1,000. It's logarithmic rather than arithmetical. So the distance between 400 and 500 is not the same as the distance between 100 and 200. It's vastly greater. 3 thresholds matter. 200 is the level of integrity. Below it, life is lived in force, blame, victimhood, and the perpetrator and victim story. It's the domain of egocentric emotionality. Reported well-being there can be roughly 15%. 2, 500 is the shift from the material to the immaterial. Below it, people live from fear. At or above it, they live from love. Reported well-being in the 500s is about 98%. 3, 600 is sagehood, where dualistic thinking ceases to function and egoic personhood is transcended. Fewer than half of 1% of human beings arrive there. Now, the fact that should stop an intelligent person cold. The 400s are the domain of reason. Reason is a genuine accomplishment. Most of the world never reaches it, and reported well-being there is around 79%, considerably better than average, and yet considerably short of what's available. The 400s are also where smart people usually stop. Conceptual sophistication is so satisfying and so well rewarded that development often quietly ends there. A mind good enough to solve every problem it meets never meets the one it cannot solve. Not until something breaks. Over an entire lifetime, the average person's calibration rises about 5 to 8 points. Mine has risen more than 150 points since 1994. I calibrate at 599, one level below sagehood, which I may or may not ever cross until I die. I state that the way a man states his height. It's a measurement, not a boast. The practice that produced it has largely dissolved the part of me that would boast. The relevant point is not my number anyway. It's that the number exists, that it moves, and that what is measurable is far easier to improve than what is not. I make 3 claims stated plainly enough to be tested. 1, your dissatisfaction is not caused by your circumstances. It's caused by beliefs you hold about them, and beliefs can be examined and improved. 2, prolonged unwanted emotions can be dissolved, not managed, not coped with, dissolved, often within 10 minutes using a method that takes less than half an hour to learn. 3, your overall level can be measured, and it can rise a long way. It's not fixed until death. There's no good reason why nearly every human being cannot reach the 500s. You should not believe any of that because I said it. I would think less of you if you did. Treat all 3 as hypotheses and test them against your own experience, which is the only experience that will persuade you anyway. What happens next? The abundance is coming. It will solve a great many problems that have troubled human beings for the whole of our history. It will not solve the one that has been troubling you. When the grind stops, you will be left with exactly what you have built inside. If you've built nothing there, the free time will not feel like freedom. It will feel like a Tuesday afternoon with nothing to distract you, which most people find unbearable, and which is the entire reason the distraction economy exists. There is time to prepare, but there is not unlimited time. I've written a short paper, The Background Ideas, the Philosophical Foundations of the Method. It sets out the argument underneath everything I've just said. What is real, how we know what is real, and what is worth living for. It's free. Read it, decide for yourself whether the argument holds. That's all I would ask of anyone. Link in the description below. Peace.